a Northwest Mountie, and he's been trailing this desperate character for 3 years.
And I'm tired. Well, it's him or me.
I don't tend to use wrenches, but we understand each other. You right? Yeah. I love this guy. I love this guy. He nods his head every time I ask a question. What do you guys do? You're all clueless. This guy's great. You should all be more like this guy. Yeah, we get each other. Huh? Oh, come on. You guys said that was a longer commercial break. Welcome back to Oldies News Network, the only news network that's giving you yesterday's news. Anywho, so the, Great Depression, that's happening and all, and that's a pretty bad situation, but it's not all that horrible now, is it? Now, is it? I mean, sure, we have 25% of the country unemployed, but that still means 75% of the country is employed. You see what I'm saying? We need to look at this as a glass is half full situation instead of a glass is half empty situation. Or technically that'd be glass is 25% empty and 75% full. But you know what I'm saying. And we have specialist Noah Monáy, who's going to be coming in and explaining how the situation isn't all that bad. Take it away, Noah.
Thanks, Bert. Yes, as predicted by several speculators, the stock market has finally crashed. There were actually several signs that pointed to this impending situation, though. Among these were the failing agricultural section of the economy, the lowering of wages, the rising amounts of debt, a massive increase in bank loans that could not be supported, and, of course, overvalued stocks that were made to seem more valuable than they really were. These symptoms, however, were only the more subtle changes that occurred in America leading up to the crash. It really began to spiral out of control when on October 18th, the prices of stocks began to fall. On Thursday, October 24th, 12.8 million stocks were traded. In an attempt by leading business leaders to fix the problem, they tried to make up for the loss by buying even more stocks. This, however, only delayed the effects. During Monday, the next week, stocks began to fall again, and on Tuesday, well, let's just say that things went into free fall. This final nail in the coffin on Black Friday, October 29th, according to several sources, began when investors started to rush Wall Street in an attempt to sell their stocks as fast as possible. The stock market had in fact dropped by 8%. In the half an hour of chaos that ensued, sellers had already lost $2 million. Matters only got worse when the devices made to track stock market prices began to work several hours too slow. This led to a flooding of the telephones, telegraph offices, and traders who couldn't keep up with the demands. During the 4 days this crash occurred, the stock market went down by a total of 25%, leading to a loss of $30 billion in total, an amount of money that is worth more than the US had spent during the entire Great War in Europe. Since then, prices have continued to fall, businesses have been forced to close, workers have been laid off, and millions throughout the country are now starving and without jobs. It's expected that by 1932, the prices of goods will drop by 40%, and the value of U.S. goods will likely drop by 33%.
Hello there. I'd like a second, please. Just moving this out of the way, thank you. It's me. Hello, your host, Burton. I was wondering, so this is a bad situation and all, but it can't be that bad, I mean, right? U.S. currency is backed by gold, and of course, only 75% of the country isn't employed. Not to mention, I hired you, Noah, in order to be optimistic, something of which I'm not getting a lot of here, so this situation cannot be that bad, is it?
Well, Bert, as nice as that would be, things likely aren't going to change soon. As you said, the US does have a gold standard, but after this incident, many Americans have lost hope in the gold standard actually working. More so, the 75% of Americans that you mentioned are still employed had many of their wages cut and working hours decreased. Worse, the Hoover administration has taken a laissez-faire stance on solving this situation, claiming that it will simply solve itself with the work of businesses putting faith back into American investors. This method has clearly backfired, though. The recent tariff on imported goods is also not looking good for the economy, since it makes imported goods more expensive for us Americans who need the products. Overall, it does not seem like there is any positive spin on this situation, and the glass is most certainly not half full. Back to you, Bert.
Thank you, Mr. Monáy, for that optimistic bit of news that I had initially hired you for. I'll make sure that you join the 25% after this broadcast. Of course, time for another commercial break. When we return, communism on the rise. Is this the next step for America? And how is Russia faring with the Depression? All this and more, of course, on Oldies News Network, the only network that's giving you yesterday's news. Charles, I'm curious. We're still good, right? I don't mean like relationship-wise. I mean, we're still good with our business. Like, we're still in business, right? Oh, good, okay. For a second, I was worried that we were going to go out of business with everyone else. Yeah, we're fine. Yeah, I was worried I was going to actually have to get a real job. I mean, seriously, why would I want to trade up this? I mean, this face needs to be in front of a camera. It was not made for physical labor. You get me. Thank you, Charles. Charles, you're my man. And Mr. Bobblehead. Yeah. I love this guy. He's great. He nods to everything I say. Everything. You guys seriously need to start working on that. Come on.